demonstrating an Imax MSM 9802 camera. This is a state-of-the-art Imax camera that was used on Transformers. We used actually 3 of these cameras for the scenes the forest scenes and the scenes in the desert were absolutely stunning with the footage shot from this camera. What we have here is a 1,000-foot roll of 65mm negative. When I turn the switch on with the lid open, it'll just inch along at 1 frame a second, but this will give you an idea of how the film travels through the camera. You have 2 compartments in the magazine. You've got the feed part in the bottom divided off into the take-up. So the feed is run through a staircase, then into the first sprocket, then across the gate, then out to the second sprocket would be the output sprocket back into the take-up part of the magazine. The shutter is a reflex shutter, so you don't lose any light as you do on beam splitter type cameras. Imax has a variety of cameras, a lot of beam splitter cameras and a lot of reflex cameras. These are the most popular ones because they're much more versatile. We've got a regular type of setup here for motorized lens controls, and it's an airy matte box. And the type of lens that we use for the prime lenses are usually Hasselblad or Zeiss lenses.
How much do those lenses cost?
They differ in price. Prime lenses run between $3,000 to about $8,000. The 30mm would probably be the most expensive prime lens, and then you get up into the zoom lenses, 75 to 150, and then of course there's Century zoom lenses, and then there's Pentax long lenses that you can use for the camera. So you can put a variety of lenses on here with special lens mounts. This camera can also be used for Steadicam. What we'll do is we'll take the 1,000-foot magazine off of it and put a 500-foot magazine, and it can be mounted on a pretty standard Steadicam system. Being one of the lighter Imax cameras, it doesn't prove to be much of a problem.
When you say lighter, these things, don't they weigh like 60, 70 pounds?
Well, this one here all built up is about 60 pounds, yes. But then you can get into the 3D camera, which weighs, all loaded up, probably a little over 250 pounds.
When you say 3D camera, and what films have been working with that camera?
Well, all the 3D movies in the last 10 years have been filmed with our new 3D camera, which has 2 movements built into 1 casing. The way we used to do is we had 2 of the original type of Imax cameras, which are Mark II cameras, on a rig where one would be facing down, and the image would be bounced off of a beam splitter mirror, and then one facing forward, and they would be offset the same distance as the human eye would be, 2.78 inches. So what would happen is the camera from the top would film one eye, camera from the bottom would film the other eye.
So I'm going to try to get another view of the camera from the behind, actually. Okay, so.
Now the 3D camera itself has 2 movements built right in the one cabinet, so you don't have to worry about the bulky rig assembly. But it still wasn't small enough to put on the space shuttle. It wouldn't fit through the hatches, so we had to develop a camera called the 30-perf camera, which would be 2 Imax frames transported at one time. The 30-perf camera would normally do 24 frames a second. What they would do is shoot the image with 65mm film and then develop it, and the way that they would develop it would be skip printing. So every other frame would be printed onto one roll, and then the opposite frame would be printed onto another roll. So you have your 2 rolls, the left eye and the right eye, that would be put on the projector.
There was a lot of talk last year. I spoke to, I think, Greg Foster about the fact that you guys were trying to develop cameras that were lighter. How's that been going?
Well, the original Imax camera was the Mark II camera that was used for Mount Everest, and we had to make it much lighter than it was. Mainly because if they were cutting their toothbrushes in half just to lose some of the weight, we had to make some major steps in lightening the camera by putting plastic bearings in it, changing the side panels to magnesium, hollowing out all different areas of the lid.
I just feel like maybe we should shut the camera off while you're talking to me. So
well, it's only going 1 frame a second. We've got 1,000 feet of film in there, so it'll actually last quite a long time.
No, I was talking about the volume.
Oh,
That's what I'm thinking about. Let me ask you this question, though. This camera's 60 pounds. Will it ever get to the point where you can get it to 30 pounds or 20 pounds, or is that just impossible?
Well, the problem with that is stability. When you're transporting a film of this magnitude, the frames are that big, you're going to need some stability and you're going to need some weight behind it. So if you get it much smaller than that, you're going to lose its steadiness. And one of the main reasons IMAX movies look so great is because the cameras are so steady. The projectors are rock steady as well, so you get the combination of two and you get a pristine picture.